Things really didn't get started till the 1930s. In fact, 1938 was when George Calvert Yount planted the first commercial vineyard in the town of Yountville, of course. You can go up there, you can see his gravesite if you ever want to wander up and through the town of Yountville. The Europeans came, like they did to, a few went to Sonoma, like the Simi brothers, but many of them also came to Napa. You know, people like Jacob Schramm and Charles Krug and Jacob Berenger. Gustav Niebaum, who started Inglenook Winery, built the first sort of chateau winery in Napa Valley, and that was in the 1870s. And Napa did also begin to grow very quickly. There was 140 wineries in the late 1880s until phylloxera hit. And phylloxera devastated the winery so much so that it was really a slow start, as I said, for many people until Andrei Chilichev arrived in 1938. And then we had a couple of really important things happened in the 1940s. Number one was the Napa Vintners were formed, the Napa Valley Vintners, which is a trade organization. They were started in 1944. They have worked to support the wineries in Napa. They do obviously marketing and promotion, but they also help with research, and they also help with legislation as well. Napa was not the first American viticultural area. They got their AVA in 1981, but anybody know what the first AVA in America was? Yes.
Somewhere in Missouri.
Yes, Augusta, Missouri. Yep, Augusta, Missouri was the very first. So Napa, you don't always have to be first, right? But in any case, that was an important part. 1966 was also a milestone for Robert Mondavi. He built the first new commercial winery in the valley, and that helped to build the tourism industry. Because one of the things that Robert Mondavi did, if you know his winery, it's right off of Highway 29. He was one of the first to really invest in hospitality in a big way. He built one wing of the winery all devoted to hospitality, tasting, education, and got people really interested and began to develop the culture of wine. Again, the Napa wines that won the Judgment of Paris was also important. But the Ag Preserve in 1968 was another really important thing, which is still today relevant, because the Ag Preserve was basically giving people a tax incentive to keep the land as agriculture and protect the land as agriculture as opposed to development. One of the things that happened for those of you who know Silicon Valley used to be a lot of orchards and prune trees and cherry trees and the like. And Napa used to have a lot of walnuts and prunes as well. Well, what happened was Silicon Valley didn't have an ag preserve, and that became what it is today. But Napa Valley is still agricultural. And while prunes and walnuts are still here, very little is grown anymore, of course, mostly grapes. The other thing is that in 1985, the 1985 Groth Cabernet Sauvignon Reserve became the first American wine that scored 100 points by Robert Parker. So hats off to them, and that helped to really put Napa on the map. And then, of course, in the 1990s is when the so-called cult Cabernets began to hit the stores. If you could get it in a store, that is. People like Screaming Eagle, Colgan, Harlan, Bryant Family, Arajo, those wineries that are made in minuscule quantities and fetch really high prices.